Hey guys, my guest tonight, Sabrina Bench, and I are going to be talking about the opioid crisis and how it affects chronic pain patients. In addition, we're going to also discuss how prescriptions have gone down, yet overdoses have gone up. I'll be right back. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust, turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. Hey everybody, how's everybody doing tonight? My name is Charlotte. I'm going to be your host for the next hour. Let me get my little buttons pushed here. There we go. I'm also the owner of the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team based out of Sacramento, California. We are 45 strong up and down the state, which means if you have a paranormal need, we can help you. It might take us a couple days to get to you. California is this huge state, but we will get to you. Okay? We will get to you. Now, if you're watching from Facebook, please be sure to hit that follow button if you like what you see and hear tonight. We're always looking. Let me move this over a little bit. We're always looking for followers. And if you are watching, be sure to give us a thumbs up, smiley face, hearts, because that puts us up higher in Facebook's FYP where more people see us. And if you like what you see, share us around as well. Okay. YouTube is the same thing. There's more than 800 videos sitting over there. YouTube.com/@California Haunts Radio. I have them in categories. So if you're into psychic Nancy, medium Nancy Matz, she's over there in her own little folder. Cryptids, UFOs, stories like tonight, things like tonight. That's in the folder as well. Okay. So that being said, if you want to find California Haunts and California Haunts Radio, look it up on Google under California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team or California Haunts Radio, and you will find us. All right. Okay, just a quick update on the two things that Nancy and I have planned. In honor of Valentine's Day, and I'm going to have that set up tonight after the show, give me about an hour after I'm off the air. We are going to. She is going to be doing psychic readings to help you with your relationships and see if relationships are going for this year. So that's going to be part of our big Valentine's Day thing. And then, kind of continuing last night's show that I did, I'm going to be doing a show on haunted history and talk about more of that stuff. And that's also going to be a paid event at the meetup. So be on the lookout for those. I'm excited, and spots are going to go fast for everything. Okay, tonight's topic. As you guys know, I've been doing a series on the chronic pain crisis and the opioid crisis. And, I've had my share of issues. My guest tonight, Sabrina Bench, has had her share of issues, and we're going to get her input on, what she's been going through with this as well. Just remember, I'm not a doctor. She's not a doctor. So this is, we're just going by our own experiences with this stuff. And you'd be surprised, what goes on when you walk into that pain clinic. I know one of the things that they always comment with me is, because I'm always prepared for them to either cut me off or harass me and try and sell me into the company line stuff, that my blood pressure is always like 3 times higher than it normally is because I'm just like this going in, just like this. The last time I went was last Thursday. And again, the company line, I was told by, I'm not going to say who, but an individual from that particular office that was signing me in and everything, that they were no longer going to make hydrocodone in 2025. And I thought, okay. And then she tried, there's this other drug they're trying to get everybody on. It's an opioid, but it's the drug they give people that are addicted to come off the opioids. And so she says, well, do you want to sign up for this now? And I looked at her and I said, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. So, of course, I get home. I'm on Google. Not one word about it. Because, if they're ever going to cut, not make those pills anymore or distribute them, it'd be all over Google. That's what Google's for, right? So I didn't find anything. When I went to see my regular GP on Friday, I asked her about it. And she knew nothing about it. She never heard word on it or nothing. So that's one of the tactics they have is they like to scare you with the company line so that you'll switch. All right. I've been on the same medication for 13 years, and it works for me. It keeps me going, and I've been on the same dosage, so I have no issues with it. And it's just ridiculous. And we'll get more into that. And Sabrina again has her own story to tell. So let's bring her on and see what she has to say.
Hello.
Oh, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me on.
I'm excited to have you on.
I've been excited all day.
Tell us about you.
Okay, well, my name's Sabrina. I'm from Louisiana. I'm 42 years old. I've had health problems my entire life, but it's never been to the point where it's completely sort of debilitating me into my 30s. My dad was exposed with the defoliant called Agent Orange in the Vietnam War.
Mm-hmm.
So he has a lot of health issues, and I have a lot of health issues. And the VA only acknowledges some of it. That's a different podcast. But anyway, I have a lot of spinal issues. And about 4 years ago, during an ice storm, I fell down the stairs and then hit my head, and I got whiplash, and then everything just went to heck. Everything. My life just completely changed. Even though I had health problems before, I had scoliosis, I had the degenerative disc disease in my low back. I still was extremely active. I worked out all the time. I ran for fun. I wish I could do that now. And now I can barely walk. It just completely debilitated me. And it caused this domino effect of 11 conditions right now that I have. And I'm waiting to see a neurosurgeon to get some more information. I have osteoarthritis. I have fibromyalgia. The right side of my body goes numb, but it hurts at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'll burn myself. I won't feel it till maybe the next day, and it hurts a lot more than it should.
Right.
I have scoliosis. It causes my spine to do this, and it's kind of starting to press in on my left lung. I have degenerative disc disease in two spots, my low back and my neck. I have bone spurs, stenosis, and I have bulging discs. I have no cartilage in my elbow. My shoulder or my wrist, and I have arthritis there. I have nerve damage in my right arm. I can't write anymore. I had to learn to use my left hand. I had surgery on my ulnar nerve right here. It'll be healed in May. It takes a year to heal from that surgery, by the way. Did not know that when I was getting into it. But my life has been completely altered. Like, I like to play music. I have a keyboard, and I have three guitars and a bass, and I can't play any of them. All my hobbies are gone except for reading. So it's been completely life altering for me in a negative way. And the response I've gotten from the medical community has been quite horrific. It's been quite horrific. I won't lie. I'm going to tell you, the emergency room is a last resort for me too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if you know what the emergency room's like.
Oh,
I went in there last time I went in there. It just felt like someone was ripping my face off. My eyeballs were hurting. That's another thing. I can't wear my contact lenses anymore. That's an undiagnosed issue.
Oh, that.
And,
Nice.
I was having trouble breathing because of my scoliosis, and all they said was, you need chronic pain management. And I said, was my face okay? Like, is this just a thing I deal with now? They didn't really care. And so I just don't go. Like, that's a last resort. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And I want to point out, it took me 4 years to find decent care, and I still feel I'm under medicated, but I'm deeply appreciative. I get 24 Norco-10s a month.
Wow.
So, and you don't understand. You probably do. I'm sorry. I'm used to talking to people. And I'm extremely grateful for them, and I make them last as long as possible.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. They've been they tried to taper me a couple years ago, and it just didn't work for me. I tried to taper down to like 2 a day, because I take three Norco a day, and it's just I like you. I have spine problems. I've got spinal stenosis. I've got bad discs in my back. I've got bone spurs, and I do have issues with my feet. I have a walker in my car because when I'm out walking, not all the time, but sometimes my right foot will go to sleep, and then the left foot goes to sleep while I'm walking.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to have a walker to sit down, or I'm going to end up on the ground.
I have to use mobility aids when I go shopping a lot of the time, because I've been having issues with my knees, and I have a lot of issues with my left leg and my right foot, and it pulls on this posture muscle in my back, and it just makes it extremely painful, or I just can't walk. So I'm getting to that point too, and I think I need a shower chair in my shower. Like, it's getting to that situation. And I don't know if you have this or not, because you look very healthy to me. I look pretty healthy, don't I?
Yeah.
It's a big hindrance, especially when you're getting to know a new doctor.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I've had like a lot of ill treatment because of the way I look. Like I just changed my primary care doctor. He's a godsend, but I have 4 doctors right now. My old primary care doctor, she literally said there was nothing wrong with me, and then screamed at me for wanting to see my orthopedic surgeon. You know, I did all the legwork, called my insurance company, found the doctor, so she didn't have to do it. And because I'm like, something's going on here. I know what agony feels like. I've had 3 organs removed and given birth twice. You know, this is ridiculous. And I found this new doctor here recently, actually, and he found all this new stuff wrong with my neck. I had no idea any of that was going on. And after a couple of visits, he started giving me some medication and the gabapentin for my nerve pain, which is not good for chronic pain. It's great for neuropathy, though. It's great for neuropathy. I don't know why they're prescribing it for chronic pain. And also, I'd like to point out, gabapentin is just I think gabapentin is more addictive than an opioid. Coming off of it is like coming off alcohol. It plays on the GABA receptors of the brain. And you can have a seizure and pass away if you come off of it. You know, you can have a stroke too. Your blood pressure will spike and this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. Sometimes because it puts me to sleep, so sometimes I'll take it to sleep at night. But that's about the extent of it. And my memory, it fogs my brain. So
I noticed that almost immediately. I felt like I was lobotomized.
Oh yeah,
I did. So if I say in this podcast, it's because of the gabapentin.
Yeah,
but you have to take what you can get. You know, you have to weigh the good with the bad in those situations.
And with the gabapentin, I stopped taking it probably 2 years ago, and I still had a lot of brain fog.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. So it's been a lasting thing.
Oh wow. Yeah. Have you ever tried Lyrica?
I have not.
Okay, I believe that's the precursor to it's pregabalin. It's the precursor to Neurontin gabapentin. And I took that, and it helped a little bit with my nerve pain, but man, it made me hyper as heck and like crazy feeling. I had mental side effects that I just weren't acceptable for me. It's like, you got to take me off this crap. I don't like it.
You know, that's the thing, though. When you look at ibuprofen or whatever the hell that's called that they're pushing on everybody, there's side effects to all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's bad enough Norco has the side effects that it has. But when you start looking at this other medication, I mean, some of it, and I've heard there's lawsuits, and I don't know if it's right. Like I said, I'm not an expert at this, just like you aren't. But I've heard that there's standing lawsuits against the ibuprofen right now.
Really? I know there's one against gabapentin because it rots your teeth out. Suboxone is one for rotten teeth. They're writing Suboxone for pain medication now.
Yes, they are. They've tried to push that on me too.
Really? I heard people are getting methadone, or people are forced to go to methadone clinics because they're not getting any treatment.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of scary. And also, I don't know if you've heard this, these doctors, and I'm not necessarily blaming these doctors and nurses because I understand they don't want to go to prison. But these new doctors, and studies are showing this, these new doctors, especially in urban areas, are not going to write opioid pain medication if they don't have to. And even for cancer patients.
Right.
You know, they're finding non-narcotic ways to treat chronic cancer pain. Mm-hmm. That's awful. And it's happening mostly in urban areas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But my GP doesn't like to get involved with opioids either. So I'm glad that I still have my pain management guy who's 25 miles away. It's 50 miles round trip for me.
Mm-hmm. Just my doctor's about an hour away.
Yeah. Just for a 2-minute appointment. How are you feeling? Is this working? And I've done it. I've done all the physical therapy. They gave me that little shock thing, you know, to put on my leg or wherever I'm hurting. But the problem with that is those treatments are like 45 minutes each. I don't have time for that, you know, to sit there and put those electrodes on me.
You're talking about the TENS unit?
Yeah.
I have one of those. Yeah. I have one. They help a little bit.
Do they? The other thing I find interesting too, you know, like we're going to get into you're going to get into talking about, you know, prescriptions versus overdoses. The other thing I find interesting, I think I lost my train of thought. What was I doing? Oh my God, that's one of those days.
Yeah, that's from gabapentin a couple years ago.
That's it. It's a couple years ago. Gabapentin. You know, but I just find it interesting to go to the doctor every month because there's always something different that they're trying to push you into. Mm-hmm. And with me, I've done all the physical therapy, I've done all that stuff. And when they look at my record, you know, everything's done. And the last doctor I had before these guys actually told me flat out, he said, well, it's quality of life for you, so you have to have it, which I do. I can't even mop my floors if I don't have it. if I don't have the narco. I mean, I can't. 'Cause, you bend right at that certain position,
Hmm.
and yeah, my back. But this thing with the opioids, the other doctor I had, which was interesting. I talked about this on the show a couple months ago. I went in one time to see him, and it sounded like a used car salesman. Trying to get me to try this and try that and try this and try that and all that and all this. It's just crazy. The whole thing's crazy.
Research
That's
the
why.
heck out of anything they're trying to
Oh
do
yeah.
to you. Have you heard about how they are putting people on mental health medications, even terminal children, taking them off their opioid medication and putting them on mental health medication. Now,
Joke.
those medications are extremely dangerous. They're not addictive. You become dependent on them like you would, like, because opioids, you can become dependent or addictive. It's two different things.
Right.
But
Right.
you can't come off those cold turkey. Sometimes once you start taking them, you can't stop taking them. You get the tardive dyskinesia, if I'm saying that correct. I've met
Mhm.
a girl that has it, and her face twitches horribly, and she drools on herself. It doesn't stop. I mean, there's a lot. Liver failure, Depakote, the first 6 months, you have a risk of liver failure. I mean, there's just all kinds of things. They cause
Oh yeah.
horrible weight gain. And then
Oh
in
yeah.
kids, they can cause someone to unalive themselves. Remember the Paxil incident?
Oh yeah.
And then
Absolutely.
we can't trust these manufacturers necessarily to tell us what's going to happen with these drugs either. That's
Right.
from
Right.
we learned that from the past.
I
I
agree
just
with that.
don't think children that aren't mentally ill don't need to be on these medications. If you aren't mentally ill, you don't need to be on an antipsychotic either. They're doing that as
No.
well.
No. The
Yeah,
other thing I
I
find
don't understand that.
the other thing I so interesting that I was going to say was that there's supposed to be a study out there that I don't know who did it, but there's question marks about whether or not the opioids actually take your pain away. And I was like, what?
Yes,
And
they do.
that's what they're trying to push now is say that they actually don't take your pain away. It's all in your head.
Well, even if it's in your head, it's still taking the pain away. I mean, doesn't it
Absolutely.
act on opioid receptors in the brain? So I really
Yeah.
don't know. Like you said, I'm not an expert.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've been taking the same dose for over 13 years.
Hmm.
I've never varied or any of this. Yet when you go in to see these guys, it's always like you're being eyeballed. It's always like you're the criminal because you're having to take this medication.
I understand what you mean by feeling like a criminal. I always feel like a criminal, like they think I'm trying to put one over on them, and I'm not telling the truth about my stuff. I feel like that a lot. I know what you
Yeah,
mean, the criminal
yeah,
aspect of it. It's like they've made chronic pain patients public enemy number one,
right,
in
right.
my opinion.
Oh,
And
I agree.
yeah, and the unalive rate in this community has skyrocketed to 400%, over 400%. And that's just, and I believe it too. And then in some countries, they're euthanizing us now. The euthanasia laws for my state are pretty strict, but
Mhm.
it's just a matter of time, I feel. I mean,
Yeah,
in Canada, they'll euthanize you before treating you. Because Canada's experiencing the same issues we are with the chronic pain community not getting
right,
treatment.
right, right,
You know,
right,
and I'd like to point out that um, prescription rates for chronic pain has dropped 44%,
right.
and then they cut back an additional 9, I believe, and the DEA is going to do an additional 20% cut in manufacturing of opioids. So how is this is not an opioid crisis. This is an illicit fentanyl crisis. It's
Yeah.
literally not prescription pills doing this. And what they're trying to do, the DEA, the government, they're trying to make it look like they're doing something to
Hmm.
appease the people when they're
Hmm.
actually making both situations worse. They're making it a living nightmare for us. They're
Hmm.
putting doctors in prison for taking care of their patients. And what they're doing is they're allowing this illicit fentanyl, they might not be allowing, let me take that out. But
Okay.
this illicit fentanyl is flooding the streets and killing our family, our children, our friends. And I know in my area, there's not really any resources at all for these
Hmm.
people. I believe that we have a $40 billion budget, and a lot of it just goes to incarceration.
Right, right,
So and then I've been hearing that people in chronic pain will go to the streets. I've never done it
right.
personally, but they'll go to the streets, and I understand out of desperation, and then they end up dying or getting addicted to fentanyl, and it's
Yeah,
illicit fentanyl. It's not
yeah.
prescription fentanyl. Due to this prohibition and these cutbacks, anesthesiologists are having issues getting prescription fentanyl to put their patients to sleep for surgery. That's what they
Right,
used on me,
right.
and so it's
You know,
causing negative
right.
effects for legitimate people and legitimate chronic pain patients, medical professionals, and it's hurting the SUD community as well. They're not fixing nothing. They're causing more problems. If I know this, they have to know this. I don't know what the end game is.
Right, right. Because it's one thing to try and fix it, but what they did was they put everybody under the same umbrella, and that was
Hmm.
wrong. And,
Yeah.
and so the people that really need it, like you and I, well, I mean, I'm not suffering because I've been getting it pretty much every month. I've been fortunate, but there's people like you and I that are having to go to the streets and buy this stuff because you're in so much pain, or they commit suicide. That's the other thing, the suicide rates, like you say, because they're in such pain.
I understand. And I want to be completely honest. I was at a point where I was just in a bad place.
Mhm.
I really just didn't want. I felt like I was in the dark ages, dying on a mat somewhere, and I like no one cared. And this is on my 100% honest. Like I didn't want to do it anymore. I was so tired, just so tired. And then I found a community on TikTok. That might sound silly, but I did. And there's a lot of us on there. And it's like, oh, I'm not alone. Cause you get really lonely when you have all these issues.
Yes.
Your
Yes.
life becomes very small. And
Yes.
so I met this whole community of people that are going through exactly what I'm going through. They're collectivizing, they're trying, the doctor patient forum, as you know, Claudia is trying to get a lobbyist. And
Yep.
I believe she just helped pass some law in Rhode Island that's going to protect chronic pain patients. So we are doing our best. Like I never thought I would be speaking on chronic pain in my life. The government they created all the steps that led for me to be right here talking to you.
Right.
And I want to point out too, even with pain medication, you still have pain. Like you're talking about mopping your floor. I can't do that. I can't fold laundry either. Like I get my mother my laundry to fold, or I hire someone to do it. I hire someone to clean my house too. I can pick up and stuff and throw laundry in the washer and dryer. Sometimes I can't, but I can't sweep or mop or vacuum or nothing really, clean the bathroom, nothing like that. I can't, before I said I can't write. I learned to write with my left hand. If I use my right hand, there's this nerve in my shoulder blade that just feels like it's being crushed, and my shoulder blade will swell up, and I'll actually end up in the hospital for writing. And I have no idea what that is. I still haven't got a diagnosis on that. Because the healthcare system's took me 4 years just to get an MRI.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I can't work either.
Right.
My body's I'm dependable as my body's not dependable. And I have turned down jobs that I was very upset to have to turn. I'm talking about careers. I can't do it. I'm in too much pain, even with the medication I have, which I'm extremely grateful for.
Right.
I can't do much. It takes the edge off to where I can comfortably sit down and hang out with my child, pick her up without her hurting. Just that kind of stuff. I was able to go grocery shopping without being completely debilitated. Stuff like that. It's not like I'm out running the roads doing this. I still don't have a normal life.
Well, I know my constant pain is usually between 1 and 10. I'm either a 6 or a 7, and that's what pain pills are supposed to do. They're not supposed to, from my research and looking through stuff, they're not supposed to totally take your pain away. They're supposed to make it livable to where you can function.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you hope to be. But if they keep cutting people back to where maybe you're taking 1 or 2 a day or whatever, like they were trying to put me in the 2 a day when I'm so active, it doesn't work for me. I just end up on the couch.
May I ask you something? When you first started this journey, did you go through a grieving process for your old life?
I did.
Okay. I've been hearing, I'm going through that right now. I'm just getting over the anger stage. But I was curious if you went through that, and how long did it take you to get out of it?
Took me about a year to come out of it because I was athletic.
Mm-hmm.
I hiked, I fished, I did all this stuff, and riding bikes, and doing all that stuff. And I sure as hell can't ride a bike now, and I can't walk as far as I used to walk, and that frustrates me. So I still get frustrated, even to this day, because I did not plan on my life to be like this. To have to have pain pills to get up in the morning and function. And I think and like you say, these younger doctors that are coming up, or you get a doctor, the majority of the doctors that you're getting have never experienced chronic pain.
Mm-hmm.
So they have no clue what you're going through. That's why they can sit there and go, well, yeah, taper down, it's all good, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, it's not. You don't understand. You don't understand what that pain actually feels like.
They don't.
Epsom salt bath ain't going to cut it.
Epsom salt does nothing. I use magnesium chloride. It does work better. But I
Yeah.
mean, you still need. And the thing is, people always are like, "Well, you need to try alternatives, honey." I have. If you know something I haven't tried, let me know. I mean, there are some that help, like castor oil. People talk about that all the time. That's the reason I can open my right hand again. I mean, but
Awesome.
so that's a benefit. Turmeric, I take that at night.
Hmm.
It helps with my arthritis and inflammation. But like, I
Right.
still need medication on top of it. So I mean, it's not like I don't try other things. I've spent a
Right.
lot of money trying other things. And
Right.
Tylenol don't cut it. If it did, I
No.
wouldn't be at the doctor, or I wouldn't be laying in bed all day.
Well, this is what I try to tell people: the difference between Tylenol and hydrocodone. Tylenol, when you take it, when I take it, when I end up taking it, it's the big pills. The highest I can get. But it takes it's like 45 minutes to 60 minutes before you even feel anything with it. Before you start feeling good. When you could take a
Hmm.
hydrocodone and within 15 minutes, you're out doing what you need to do.
Hmm.
It's all fine and dandy. The other thing I find appalling about all this and what's happening now is these people that are getting major surgeries and they send them home with Tylenol and that's it.
Yes, I'm glad you touched on that. I wanted to touch on that. Have you heard of the No Pain Act?
I have not.
Oh, I just learned about this last night. Okay, this is strictly for Medicare and Medicaid patients for right
Okay.
right now. What they're doing is they're doing separate payments to the hospitals for doing non-opioid pain medication therapies for outpatient surgeries. And they want this implemented everywhere in 2025. So it's just going to get worse. And I
Yeah.
guarantee the people making these legislations have access to proper care.
Right.
I have no
Oh,
doubt if they got
absolutely.
hurt, they would be getting a pain pill. Instead, they're going to cut open on somebody and then not give them anything. I saw one woman on TikTok. It was horrific. This little old lady, she had open heart surgery, begging for pain. They gave her IV Tylenol, a Lyrica, and I believe a Klonopin. And she's begging, and she's like, "Have some compassion." And the doctor said, "Ma'am, I broke every single one of your ribs. You need to calm down, or you're going to hurt yourself." So what the heck is going on here?
Oh, yeah. I've heard people that have gotten back surgery, with the rods and all that, and they send them home with Tylenol.
Uh-uh.
What is the world? What are they thinking? I don't get. I don't get where the mindset is. And you're right. It's people making these laws that have their full medical coverage, and they're getting
Hmm.
what they need. So they have no concept. And the press has a lot to do with it too. The press only looks at one part of this.
Hmm.
Very seldom you find a story written in a newspaper or a magazine where they talk about the pain patient, what the pain patient goes through, and
You're
what they're
right.
going through. And that's what
You're
makes it
right.
so bad too. That's why I like doing these shows because it brings awareness. I
Well,
have
I'm glad you're
friends.
doing the show. And I
I
want to check out the haunting stuff too, the supernatural stuff you talk about. That's kind of cool to me too.
So
So you got
listen,
a fan right here for life. And I'm so glad
awesome.
you're able to, I'm so glad your medicine allows you to get up and do this kind of stuff. This is your life, this is your life, your world. You deserve
Yeah,
some type of peace and happiness. And I feel the
yeah,
same way. Like, my life was just so altered, completely altered.
yeah.
I
Your
just
whole life
can't
changes.
express enough how bad I hate it.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, your life changes. And I have a tendency. I can't remember if I said it or not, but I do have a walker because my feet will go. I got neuropathy in my feet, and they will go asleep out from under me.
Is that
So
from
I
the
have.
stenosis?
I don't know because I also have heart failure, so it could be from the blood pressure.
Okay.
The blood pressure meds. So it could be either because it really didn't start until after I started getting blood pressure meds.
Okay.
So it could
Okay.
that it's dipping too low or something. Because I've never had a problem, with the medicine at all. I mean, I was laughing the other day because I got Xifaxan because the narco causes like constipation and all that stuff. It can go either way, the IBS. And I thought it was kind of humorous because I found out from my GP that the original use for Xifaxan was to help people that had bad livers. And then
Really?
they realized it worked for IBS and traveler's diarrhea and stuff. Yeah. And so I just kind of laughed and I said, "Well, gee, that's going to help me with the hydrocodone to keep it from eating my liver, after all these years,
Yeah.
you know." But
Well,
the other,
they're
the other,
you know how
go ahead.
they're worried about ODs and like health effects from the
Right.
opioids. Like, the health effects are going to be just as bad, if not worse, from these alternative treatments, in my opinion. And
Hmm.
do you remember Tramadol when it came out? It was an alternative to an
I
opioid, and they
remember
eventually ended
Tramadol.
up
Yeah.
classifying as. I remember the first time I took it, I was in college, and I got it from the dentist. I even asked for a non-opioid, and
Right.
I got it. And I was high as a kite. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got it. I was like, I thought this was non-narcotics. I mean, there's going to be
Right.
that type of stuff out there too. Just throwing that out there. Tramadol is a good pain medication though.
It actually is. I took it for
Hmm.
years before I started taking hydrocodone.
Yeah. I had it for a little bit after my surgery and I liked it a lot.
The only
Yeah.
thing I didn't like was having to eat with it, because you've always take a pill, you got to have a sandwich or something, or I would have a piece of bread. Where with the Norco, you don't have to. The Norco, plop it in and off you go. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
but like you, I have been through all that. I've done all the physical therapy they've asked me to do. They wanted to give me those silly injections, and I had those done like at the beginning of this whole pain thing, and they didn't work. And plus, with heart failure, I can't lay on my stomach. I have
Okay.
trouble breathing on my stomach, so I can't do the injections. But I have done everything, and that's what I tell them when I go in there when they start pushing this stuff on me. Hey, I've jumped through your hoops. I've done all that stuff. Been there, done that. So stop bothering me. I'm not going to say how old I am, but I'm old enough to go, look, I probably have a good 15, 20 years anyway. Leave me alone.
Hmm.
Stop bugging me. But I
So
mean,
may I ask how many shots you've had?
I've had like 20 shots.
Oh, more than me. Oh, wow. You beat me. I thought I was going to
Back in
win
the early
that
days.
one.
Back in the early days, yeah. And then I
About
stopped
10
going.
years ago, I had 10 I had 8 in my back and 2 in my SI joints, and then they did nothing. And then when I was in my 20s, I think it was Botox shots in my ribs for my nerve stuff. It worked amazing. That stuff worked great. I didn't have I still really don't have issues with it. I don't know what they did, but the back shots, they were completely worthless.
Oh yeah, and a lot of those shots are are illegal in Europe. They don't.
I read about that too. Yes, because I got to an intravenous pain doctor, and he is going to be looking at my mid to upper back, my neck, and my low
Right,
back, and he said it's too dangerous for him to work on my upper back and neck area,
right.
but he's supposed to be looking at my low back, and I started looking into these shots, and I said, well, they're not even approved in some of these countries. Well, guess what else isn't? Have you ever taken Toradol?
No, I've never taken
Okay,
that.
Toradol is like a prescription NSAID in a way. Now, I've been prescribed it when they don't want to do a narcotic at the walk-in clinic or the hospital, and it
Right.
actually does help in conjunction with the muscle relaxer. It really does take the edge off. But the thing is, you can't take it for more than 5 days. I got a prescription. The last time I went to the hospital, they gave me a prescription of Toradol, and I went home and Googled it. Dear God. Okay, after 5 days of just taking your medication, your stomach and or intestines will rip open and bleed. Okay, your
Jeez.
kidneys will shut down. This is why this medication is illegal in most countries, but they're more willing to write me this dangerous prescription than a safe FDA approved opioid. Because I do get stomach bleeds. I even told them that. I don't know why they gave me, and I don't know why they gave
Right.
it to me.
Right.
That medication terrifies the heck out of me now.
The other thing that I found too with these pain management doctors, and I know it's not their fault. They're under a lot of pressure. They're afraid to get arrested, and all this is going on. But it's like every time a new drug comes on, it's always push, push, push to get the patients on this new drug. And then, like you say, they don't look at the side effects
Hmm.
until people start suing. Like losing their teeth and whatnot. And it's the
Hmm.
thing with them because I think I think deep down, a lot of these doctors want to treat you, but they're afraid. They're afraid to treat you, and
I
that's why
agree.
when these new hot drugs come along, like ibuprofen, and everything else like that, that's why they're pushing them on everybody.
Now, is the ibuprofen, if I'm saying that right, is that the one that you were discussing earlier that is for that people use to get off opioids?
Yes,
Okay. I read
yeah,
about that last night. I was like, how do I pronounce that word?
yeah, yeah. It is, and I'm just I've been standing my own. I've really been holding my own with the doctors. How long it's going to last, who knows? Because they don't like sending me out for Norco, but I mean it's a thing that works. And like I told them, I've been doing, like I said, 13 years. I've been taking it. I've never varied my dosage. I'm on the same dosage I've been on for all those years. I don't
Yeah.
want anything else. I don't want anything
Yeah.
else. But I did do
But
tramadol. Tramadol really. I was in so much pain and not realizing what was wrong with me. But then when I did get tramadol, it was a huge relief. To be able to walk around. That's what people don't understand is that, and that's not what's being conveyed to the public, is that for people that have chronic pain, imagine you break your leg and you don't have anything for it and you're in pain all the time. That's what it's like for people with chronic pain. And again, it's like the doctors that haven't had chronic pain, they don't get it, and the public doesn't get it. They don't get what chronic pain does to people.
The public thinks this is an opioid crisis,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's not. Now there was one at a time, I will admit that, but it's been repaired as far as I'm concerned,
right.
because I have it written down right here. The rates for overdose have dropped 56% since 2007. Okay, from 2007 to 2020, the rate of overdoses for prescription opioids has dropped 56%.
Wow.
So I mean, it's not us doing it.
No.
And I get why the public is scared. Before I got hurt, because I didn't really need opioids, maybe periodically, because I took
Right.
very good care of myself. I loved working out. Oh, I loved it. I did it for hours a day. I loved it.
I
Oh,
did
I
that
miss it
too.
so much. But anyway, I agreed with the public too. I thought it was people just abusing drugs. I said, oh, they're making it to where real chronic pain patients can't get care. Da, 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 da. I had no idea, like illicit fentanyl, anything like that. And when I got into this community, involuntarily got put into this community, I started doing my research, and because I'm getting treated so horribly, just horribly by some of these people. And I was like, well, hey, it doesn't look like it's us doing it. It looks
Yeah.
like it's illicit fentanyl, because you have the rate of prescriptions are dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping. They have been since 2016, since the CDC released the guidelines. They're not laws, they're guidelines. Okay. But anyway, they keep dropping and dropping, but yet illicit fentanyl overdoses are at a record high. They're over 100,000 a year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what they're doing is not working. And so,
No.
and then you have someone, and no offense to Jelly Roll, the rapper,
Right.
no, but he goes in front of Congress and he talks about fentanyl, doesn't put illicit in it,
Right.
and then discusses prescription pain medication. And I appreciate what he's trying to do. It seems like he was really trying to help, but what he, in my opinion, this is my opinion, he hurt the chronic pain community a great deal, and the SUD community a great deal, because you cannot arrest your way out of this situation.
Right.
Look
Right.
at past prohibitions. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Instead of putting all this money towards incarceration, let's get these people some help, and let's get us some help too. We're not SUD patients. Please, like you said, we're under the SUD umbrella
Mhm.
automatically. Can you imagine having a kidney disease and then being treated by, based on a diabetic's health plan? Well, you have kidney, but we got to treat you like this diabetic right here. It doesn't make any sense. It's pure
Right.
madness as far. And I agree that there's a lot of doctors out there that want to treat. They're afraid. And a lot of them are the older doctors, the newer doctors. They're towing the party line, as you'd say,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Um,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
and they really are locking up old people, doctors, for treating their patients. And
Yeah.
some of these patients are very sick.
Yeah. Absolutely. The other
I'm
thing, what
Oh, go
scared
on.
me, what scared me about it, I mean, I've always you're always signing that DEA form, when you start at a new pharmacy. And I was with Costco for years, and then I had to transfer out of Costco because of my coverage. And I remember I went to CVS to pick up my. This is before they really cracked down, to where people actually had them in stock. and and I remember I said, "Well, do I have to fill anything out?" And he says, "Oh no, you're on. You're on the DEA's record. We got it right here." I'd never been in that CVS before. It freaked me out
Yeah,
because I
the
thought,
monitoring.
yeah, the
There's
monitoring
a
is
DEA number on the bottom of every prescription since the Affordable Health Care Act took place. And I'm not speaking politically about nothing. I'm just saying that's
right,
what happened.
right,
Yeah.
right, right,
And so we
right.
are being tracked. And I read recently that they're making a list of disabled people in Florida. Like, why do you need a list of us?
Gee,
I don't like all the monitoring. I don't trust the government with my health care.
right. I
I
agree.
don't trust them. And they have to know this prohibition they're doing is not working. They have to.
Right,
I know. And there's people that are smarter than me that know.
right,
They want to look like they're doing something.
right.
And
That's
some
what
of them
it
might
is.
actually think they're doing good. I don't know. I don't know what I think Jelly Roll thought he was.
Right.
I really
I think
do.
I do. The other thing that people don't realize is that we have to sign a contract with pain management that lasts a year. You can't get pain pills from anybody else without getting
Mm-mm.
permission. If you go into surgery, they have to call your pain management to get permission. Assuming they give you anything, because they're not
Yeah,
going.
that's if they do.
Yeah, you have to get permission. They have to get permission from your pain management to give you the medication. And that's a lot of what people aren't realizing is going on as well. I mean, that's what you don't hear about in the media. They also don't hear about the pill counts. Where they can call you in for a pill count anytime. You have to take your pills and let them count it, or for that urine test. That they can call you anytime for that to test you. And there's also false positives on those urine tests. I've had people get hold of me saying, "Hey, you know what? They're throwing me out of the clinic because I had a false positive, and all I took was this, and it's a non-opioid, and it showed up as an opioid."
Wow, it's like we're on probation, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what that the way you said that, I felt like I was on probation.
Yeah, absolutely. Now,
now, what other diseases are monitored like ours?
Right.
I mean, okay, you get dependent on your blood pressure medication. You get dependent on your antidepressants. There's a difference between dependency and a psychological addiction. Like, you're dependent on your medication, I'm sure, but you coming off of it and getting sick is not the same as an addict coming off of it and getting sick. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, one thing, I had a conversation with my doctor right before I had my surgery. This is with my orthopedic surgeon. And I said, listen, I want to be able to come to you in confidence if I feel like because at this point I didn't realize I was going to need these medications the rest of my life. I didn't want to take them, nothing like that. So I was really like, okay, when can I get off this stuff? And I said, listen, I want to come to you and be able to tell you if I feel like I'm getting addicted to something. And then, this might sound crazy, I even called a rehab and made sure they took my insurance just in case. Just in case. I did like some personal steps to make sure I was good. But at the time, I didn't realize I was going to be on these. Like, my current doctor, he said, you're going to be on this for the rest of your life, this type of medication, just to do not even basic things, just to be able to, like, get up and sit up and smile. Like, I feel like a human again for the first time in 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, I actually feel like getting up and laughing and joking, and I can pick up the house a little bit. I can play with my daughter. I also take care of both of my disabled parents. So I have a lot on my plate.
Right.
I don't get to lay around the house that often at all. Maybe on the weekends, but I'm normally up doing something, whether I'm in pain or not, because it has to be done. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. And I remember when they pushed physical therapy, and I said, at that point I was taking care of my mother. And I was lifting her up and doing all the, like you're doing. And, and I looked at them and I said, do you know what I do during the day? I don't need physical therapy because I'm doing it, and, I'm going about my business. Now, when you started with all this, and you mentioned that, that you were kind of tapered down on your opioid, or you're not taking quite as many. Did they ask you to taper down, or did you do it voluntarily?
No, this is what happened. After I had my surgery, I was on Ultram for several months. And then they just cut me off cold turkey, nothing. And then I went several months without any medication at all. Like, I was taking 300 milligrams of gabapentin a day, and that was it. And then I found this new doctor, and he started helping me out a great deal. So I didn't get tapered off or anything.
Okay.
No taper. And then I have done physical therapy about 14 or 15 times the past 4 years. So I put in my dues. I paid my dues. And I've tried the medical marijuana, and it helped. It does take the edge off better than a Tylenol. I'll give it that, but it's personally not for me. It makes me depressed and lazy, and I want to eat everything in the house. Like, I'll eat everything.
Yeah.
So it's just not for me. Maybe every now and then it would be okay. And it's super expensive where I'm at too. Like, insurance doesn't cover it, and I don't have that kind of money. I don't work.
Right.
So, I can't afford it anyway. But I do have a prescription. I just don't use it. I don't get it filled. So I have tried alternative methods. I've done the physical therapy. I've tried walking it off. I've tried manifesting it away. I've been anointed at church. I prayed. I did the positive notes everywhere. Just be positive. That toxic positivity can get to you. But there's a way to be positive without being toxic. I've learned that because we were talking earlier about the stages of grieving. I went through the denial stage for a while, and I hurt myself repeatedly because, like, you're very active, me too, and I'm not used to just sitting there watching TV. I'm a naturally hyperactive person, and being trapped in this body is a nightmare right now. And so I would just walk it off, or I'd stretch it off, or I'd do this, and I would hurt myself tremendously. And I learned the hard way to just sit still and be calm. And I'm getting used to it now. And then I went through the anger stage. Like, why me? Why
Right.
me?
Right.
And that's when I got in my worst depressive stage. Too. Like, I'm going to be honest. I just didn't know if I wanted to be here anymore. Like, I was so miserable. I mean, like my whole body was, except for my left leg, was just racked in pain. And I feel like no one cared. I'm not talking about my family, but like, the medical community. And
Mhm.
also, one thing I like to point out, you really find out who your friends are when you get in these
Yes.
situations. And
Yes.
it's not like, I don't really have much of a social life. The internet's my social life, and my immediate family, who are absolutely amazing. I have an amazing support system. Even though my parents are both chronically ill and disabled, like, they love me very much and they're concerned about me. And my boyfriend, he's very, supportive. He helps with our baby and this and that. He's always trying to buy stuff to make me feel better, this and that. So, I mean, I have a really good support system right now, which is, from what I'm hearing, is kind of rare in this community, actually.
Mhm.
So I'm very blessed. I'm not going to complain about that. I do miss my friends, though.
Do
I
you
do
have
miss them.
when you go to refill your medications? Have you had any problems with getting them
No,
at all?
but I have been at my pharmacy. This is when the cutbacks were at the worst, and
Uh-huh.
my cousin had surgery and she was not able to get her medication filled. My aunt put off her hip replacement because of no medication. I was in the pharmacy waiting for something, and I saw two elderly people walk in trying to get their pain medication filled, and they didn't have it at the time. And my mother's was delayed, and her blood pressure went to 172 over 132, and her heart started beating funny, and she had to go to the hospital due to unmanaged pain. So, I mean, it's affected me personally through my mother, but I've never had an issue getting it filled. But I see where pharmacists actually refuse to fill them now too, even if they have the medication at
Mhm.
Walgreens and CVS.
Mhm.
I've been hearing a lot about that.
Mhm.
They got sued in the opioid crisis because they were
Right.
allegedly involved. I don't know how, but, and now I believe they're getting sued for not filling the prescriptions.
Sounds about right. I'm not going to say which pharmacy it was, but I remember, and what I didn't like was that when the prescription would go into this pharmacy, they'd wait a week and then they'd send you the email going, "Oh, guess what? We don't have it. We don't know when we're going to get it." I mean, they could have told me this up front so I could start making phone calls and figure out where the hell I could go,
Hmm.
and not wait that week. And in the meantime, too, we go through, being chronic pain patients and having to rely on the drug. We go through withdrawals just like anybody else. And it's scary. People don't realize how the skin crawls and all that. And I remember when they were talking about getting me off of them and tapering me, and they were gonna do an outpatient from the clinic. And I said, you know what? I've got heart failure. If you're gonna do this, you're gonna have to put me in the hospital so somebody can keep an eye on me when I'm coming down off it. You know, but it is. I'm not saying it's a wicked world, but we're caught in this never-ending circle of, okay, are we going to get them? Are we not? And the poor. And I do. I feel for the doctor. Like I said, I feel for the doctors and nurses, because it's not their fault. It's like anything else. There's good and there's bad. You get good
Hmm.
doctors, you get bad doctors, and it's just a hodgepodge. And every time, like I was supposed to change pain management doctors this year, and I thought, oh God, here we go. Who am I
Hmm.
gonna find? But I ended up
It's
staying longer.
scary changing doctors, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm. It's scary. You
yeah.
don't know what you're going to get.
No, and I know my pain clinic before this one, I left because they had completely. The guy, I don't know if they got sued or what happened, but they were no longer doing pain pills at all. It was all physical therapy.
How is that a pain clinic then?
Yeah, because physical therapy is supposed to take your pain away.
Well, physical therapy can only do so much.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like, I won't lie, it did help me. It did. Like, occupational therapy helped me, but like, I'm I'm nowhere near functional.
Right.
I'm nowhere near functional. If I got up and walked around and did some stuff, you would be able to see it. I think it's a blessing and a curse looking healthy.
Hmm. It
It
is.
really is. It
It is.
really is. But this is the cross I have to bear, and you have to bear, I guess. I really am hoping that us getting this type of stuff out there is going to change some minds. Because, like I said before I started this journey, I bought into the media too.
Yeah.
I bought into it hook, line, and sinker. Even after I had my surgery, I was still buying into that propaganda, and I was terrified. I didn't get addicted to anything.
Hmm.
You know, I didn't go out to the streets and I laid in bed and suffered and cried and tried holistic things that everyone recommended on the internet. That's what I did.
Hmm.
Now, other people might go to the streets, but not me. I'm terrified of that stuff. I don't want to take anything with illicit fentanyl in it.
Well, I
Mm-mm.
remember when all this started for me, and I was a newspaper reporter. There was a lot of walking involved, and the paper I worked for was on a hill, and I was covering a parade. And I guess I looked so bad because you pinched nerves and all that going on. I guess I looked so bad that people were offering me chairs to sit in
Oh,
because I was having so much trouble walking. But and then when I did eventually get the tramadol, big difference in life. Because you're not hurting as bad and all that. Total change of
hmm
personality. But I mean, without them, like I said, I can't function. There's just not going to be any functioning for me. It doesn't matter. I've done meditation. I've done all that stuff. To try and say, okay, this is working. I don't need to be on these things anymore. It's not going to happen. But you're right. People don't realize the actual news about this stuff because they're all getting one-sided with the media.
you're getting
You know,
all your information from the DEA, the CDC, and the media. And
yeah,
there's a lot of money being funded into these non-opioid treatments too. Have you heard of the back stimulators, the spine
yes,
stimulators?
yes,
I've heard horror stories about
I have
those.
too.
There's one man I was speaking with. His blew up in his back, and he's suing them for $125 million, I believe, is what he told me. And I've heard a lot of stories about them malfunctioning and blowing up in the back and stuff.
Mhm.
I'm not getting one if they ever push that on me. I don't want
Yeah,
nothing like that in my body.
I'm not either. Nope, not at all. In fact, when they were kind of leaning towards that, I was just like, nope, I'll go somewhere else if I have to, but I'm not going to deal with that stuff. I don't want
Now,
that stuff in my
one
body.
thing I've really been looking into, have you heard of the stem cell treatments?
I have not. Tell me about them.
Okay. It actually sounds pretty promising. They use your own stem cells. It takes about 90 minutes. I'm not pretty sure exactly how it works, but it takes 6 weeks and you start really feeling better. And this is for like knee pains, all kinds of, like, my orthopedic doctor said I'm a perfect candidate. But here's the catch. One of my friends' quote was $32,000.
Wow.
I could sell everything I have of value and probably have to take out a loan. I mean, but I'm so desperate, I probably would just to
Right.
get better, just
Just
to
to
get
get better.
better.
That's
And
right.
see, like, that's something that's really interesting to me, but it's really out of reach. It's out of reach for a lot of us. A lot of us aren't able to work and we don't have any money.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
can't afford $32,000 to get better.
Right. Right.
I really do wish that insurance would cover those types of things because I feel like, yes, a big upfront cost, but over time you'd save money because I see 4 doctors. I'm about to have another one. I'm about to have 5. That's a lot of
Right.
money,
That's a lot of money.
but
Yeah.
that's something that's real exciting. And I'm hoping in the future it becomes more available to us. That's
Well,
something that's real exciting.
that's a
And
lot
it's
of the problem.
opioid free. It's opioid
Yeah.
free.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's
So do you think they'd be pushing that? That actually works.
yeah. Well, that's a lot of the problem too with the medical society, health society we have here, is everything's so expensive,
hmm
no matter what. I mean, there's people that go get their teeth pulled in Mexico or South America somewhere because they can get a tooth extraction or a crown or whatever, and it's not even close to what it costs here.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah. I've
sad.
heard, I've heard of people going to Turkey for dental work.
Yeah,
hmm
yeah, because it's just so expensive. And I know a
Yeah.
lot of like you say that like that particular thing because it's new and it's out there, and they're going to charge up the wazoo for it because it is new and it's a new shiny object.
Have you
They're
heard of the new sickle cell treatment?
no, I haven't heard any of those.
Okay. Well, they have a new sickle cell treatment that's supposed to be amazing, but guess what the cost is? $2 million.
Whoa, yeah, like I
Who
said,
in there? Who can afford that? And I've heard
ridiculous.
sickle cell is a pretty awful disease,
Yeah,
like extremely painful. So there's a
absolutely.
couple of options, but they're out of reach and probably will be for a while. Just saying. So in the meantime, until we find something else, we need these FDA approved opioid medications that were designed for people like me and people like you
Right.
and people like
Yeah.
my parents. And my dad
Yeah.
is a disabled war veteran. He's a literal war hero and he gets treated like crap by the VA. Like when I started taking over his care, because he can't hear, he can't really, I have to do all the communication.
Right.
His doctor was in the process of tapering off his pain medication. He has skin cancer from the Agent Orange exposure. His back is crumbling from the Agent Orange exposure. He got a shot and he's missing muscle. That's all of it's painful. Individually, it's painful. And then they were weaning him off. I said, the heck you are.
Yeah.
And so I got him back 45 pills a month. Then I got it bumped to 60. And I feel he deserves more, to be honest. I think he's under medicated. He's 76, who cares if he gets addicted, which I don't think he does, because I don't even think he has a dependence on him, to be honest.
Right.
But I mean, if they're treating our war heroes this way, our veterans, I mean, how is everyone else getting treated? Sometimes I think the veterans get treated worse than us.
Right.
Especially when it comes to pain management. I really do. But that's a different podcast, huh?
But I mean, that's what we have to bring out. That's why I want to do shows like this, to get that information out. Because again, the public doesn't really realize what's going on unless they're in pain management. They have to go through it, with the pain management doctors and stuff, because they don't realize how chronic pain patients are treated.
Yeah.
It's like I said, my blood pressure goes up every time I go to that stupid chronic pain clinic, because I know it's going to be a tug of war between me and the doctor, so I can keep my pain.
I hate that. I hate that for you. That breaks my heart.
And then I finally found a pharmacy. I'm not going to say what it is, but I finally found a pharmacy that will get stuff in stock, so I don't have to stress over that.
I use a mom and pop pharmacy, and I don't have any issues with them. Now, I do have issues with my insurance paying for my medication. They want a PA to get it filled, and so I just end up having to pay for it myself. But whatever. It is what it is. I don't know why my insurance company feels I don't need it when they know I have all these health problems.
Right.
So there's all these hurdles. There is like hoops. They're on fire too. We have to jump through all of them in a perfect manner to make sure that we get our pain medication. And if one of these hoops, we don't jump through it, then we're done. And that could be the pharmacy, because apparently pharmacists are getting in trouble now too.
Yeah.
And then there's a Narcan score, and I'm not very familiar with that, but I'm sure you have one. I'm sure I have one. And like you said, also, you can't go to another pharmacy. It looks like you're pharmacy shopping or whatever that's called. But I like my mom and pop pharmacy. I personally have had no issues, but I've witnessed a couple of people with issues.
Right.
Because of the shortages.
Right. I think in California, the pharmacy thing, I think you can only change, as far as the opioids are concerned, you're only allowed to change one pharmacy a year. So if you don't like the pharmacy you're at, you just have one more that you can choose for that year, and then you gotta stick with it.
Wow, that's a lot of freedom, isn't it?
Yeah. Otherwise, you're shopping, right? You're shopping.
Yeah. I feel like we're being so restricted. Like you said, we're being treated like criminals.
Yes, we are.
Like we can't be trusted.
Yeah.
Now I understand there was an opioid prescription crisis at one time, but that's over with. Now it's illicit fentanyl, and there can be responsible treatments for chronic pain patients, and we could compassionately care for these SUD patients as well. We can both be treated with compassion. Just individual care needs to be assessed.
Right.
Now, I heard the CDC lax their guidelines a little bit, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be followed, because these doctors have been terrorized into writing minimal opioids or no opioids at all. So, I mean, they did a really good job of making sure these doctors didn't write them, but they're not doing a really good job of letting these doctors know, hey, these policies have been laxed now. You can write a little bit more. You can be good at, they haven't done anything like that. So there might be some change coming. I don't know. Sometimes, especially with Jelly Roll going in front of Congress, I was like, well, we got a big hill we have to climb.
Yeah.
Before we get to where we need to be. This just seems like we're screaming in the wind sometimes.
Right. Absolutely.
This
hour went by. Thank you so much.
It did. I had so much fun.
Thank you so much, and for making those really good points. So that everybody understands what's going on. Because again, that's what needs to happen at meetings like this, so people can hear it.
Well, I thank you for having me on, and I really wish you well on your journey.
I wish you well as well. Stay in touch.
I plan to, and I plan on watching your podcast. I want to see what the spooky stuff's about.
Maybe we'll get you on to talk about some other stuff, more related stuff to this.
Okay. Okay. Well, have a good night, and thank you so much.
Okay, well, you have a great one, okay?
Okay, bye, girl.
Bye-bye. All right, so I hope I was able to teach you guys a little bit about what's going on, and it's not just me coming on here and complaining about my pain management people or anything like that. It's happening to everybody. This is what everybody goes through. So I hope I was able to enlighten you. Tomorrow, I'm going to be probably reading out of the book. Like I said, it's going to take me a while to get the guest bookings going and get things rolling. So we'll be reading out of that the Rudyard Kipling book, and we'll be continuing with that. But I want to thank you all for coming tonight and listening. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the likes, uh, Linda, Karen, and let me get back in here. Yeah, Linda, Karen, and Nancy. Yes, Nancy Thames. Thank you for the likes. I really appreciate it. That helps, like I said, with the FYP. Again, give me an hour or two to update Meetup, because Nancy Matz, I said, for the February thing with Nancy Matz, where she's going to be doing those readings and the haunted history. So I have to get over to Meetup and get all that set up. So just give us some time. And if you want to find it, it's California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team Meetup, and that's what you type in. But thank you all, and I will see you tomorrow live at 6:30 p.m. Pacific. I hope you have a great rest of your evening. I really appreciate you guys coming. See you then. Let me clear this up. All right, I'll see you then. Have a great one.